That was my Intercontinental Championship, the championship that I made prestigious. I did. And you gave Dean Ambrose an Intercontinental Championship match when he didn't deserve it. Because maybe, what, because you're friends with Renee, a journalist that got involved. They got involved in your Intercontinental Championship. The title that is on your brand. And you're going to allow that?
You made me get involved in that.
Wait a second.
You're the one that calls me out in front of the entire WWE universe.
Are a journalist. Journalize. Ask us. Don't get involved
I'm also
with stuff backstage.
Being that
You're
if you're going to come at me as a human being in front of an entire crowd, you're right, I'm going to say something.
Wait a second. Calm down, guys. Calm down. I understand. Hey, listen. Hey, you do realize that you guys are getting fined for that, right? Your wife is getting fined for that.
You think I walked out there wanting
Hey, calm down. Listen, you lost the match, right?
Did I? Yeah. Because what I saw, or actually I didn't see, what I heard is that Maurice smacked Dean Ambrose, which means that's a disqualification in every single book of referee. But all of a sudden, now referees are going against me, you're going against me, she's plotting against me. Every single person in this company in SmackDown Live.
So you want to not lose the title because you cheated?
I didn't cheat. I didn't do anything.
Maurice slapped him in the face.
That's not me cheating. I'm sorry that my wife got so passionate and hot because someone put her hands on me.
And you know what? Dean Ambrose overcame that, and he beat you. He also overcame.
He didn't deserve
you
the match,
hit him.
Daniel.
You hit him with the Intercontinental Championship.
Didn't deserve the match.
See, and this is the problem. This whole time, you've been saying people don't deserve these title opportunities. These people don't deserve these title opportunities. Well, guess what? The reason why you don't want them to get opportunities is because these people are better than you.
No,
like
they're
Dean
not.
Ambrose proved
No,
tonight.
they're not. You weren't better than me, and no one in this company is better than me. I'm the best.
We've all
I've
been
the best. I've been the best. I'm the freaking best. Don't you people get it? Don't you get it? I'm so sick. You and this entire company just plotting against me. This is my year. No, don't you talk. I am sick of you. I'm sick of everything about this freaking...
Welcome, everybody, to episode 37 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Hope everybody's having a good weekend. It's Tuesday, January 10, 2017, as I'm talking to you right now from my lovely abode here in the city of Chicago, Illinois. I'm the student of the game, professional wrestling. You can follow me on Twitter at NotoriousJoshing. Make sure to subscribe to the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Audio Boom, wherever you get your podcast from. Hope you guys enjoyed that little opening right there. Haven't made a little opening like that since my days at ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. Great stuff there from Miz, Daniel Bryan, and it looks to be a fun edition of SmackDown Live, which I'm covering tonight, depending when you guys are listening to this. January 10, 2017. Either way, whether you're listening to this today, tomorrow, next week, or hell knows. Hey, maybe you're listening to this show in 2018. But either way, I'm glad that you guys took the time out of your schedule to listen to me talk about the world of professional wrestling and the business and the form of entertainment that I love and I never take for granted. Ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to get into. As always, we're going to talk about the Royal Rumble, which looks to be beyond packed. Not only the people in the Royal Rumble match, but the match card itself. I'm so fired up right now. Started off 2017 with a bang when it comes to the world of wrestling. Great stuff from Lucha Underground. As always, tomorrow night is going to be the mid-season finale. We're coming off the heels of WrestleKingdom 11. I got to give my thoughts about that because I haven't had the opportunity to talk about it because I had the opportunity to watch the show until this past Friday night. So we're going to be talking about that. TNA had their first live show in 2017. I got to talk about that as well. New management for TNA. Interesting. 205 Live, the Cruiserweights. It's just a fun time to be a wrestling fan right now. Coming up this weekend, we got the WWE United Kingdom Championship Tournament on the WWE Network, both on Saturday and Sunday night. That's going to be a lot of fun to cover. It's really helping me pick up my spirits because I know those that know me from my sports background, as much as I love the NFL, this year's NFL playoffs is really, really boring to me. I'm really apathetic. There's no team I'm really rooting for. If I really had a chance of a Super Bowl match I wanted to see was Kansas City versus Atlanta, but at this point I'm probably wrong and we'll probably just have another boring Super Bowl with the Patriots in it. But hey, what else is new, right? By the way, folks, if you like my work on the Pipe Bomb McCool Company, support that show. It's on New Age Insiders Network right here on iTunes. Subscribe to their podcast and make sure you get all editions of the Pipe Bomb with McCool Company. Follow my good brother Matt McCool at Twitter at McCoolNAI. I want to give a shout out to my good brother Brother Carter, Derek Souton at Derrico06 on Twitter. You got to go to Monday Night Raw last night in New Orleans, so that's pretty cool. They made the announcement that WrestleMania is going to be in New Orleans next year. Yep. WrestleMania 34 back at the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, not Silverdome. It's fun, man. I generally look forward to doing this podcast. You guys know how much I love doing these play-by-play pieces for WrestleZone.com, but my favorite time of the week when it comes to broadcasting and writing is doing this podcast. It's what I'm most proud of. It's my prized possession. I have a lot of pride when it comes to doing these podcasts, and I hope you guys enjoy it. This is a show for you guys. It's something out of the box. My mission was not to be the 25th edition of, I could book better than the WWE type of podcast. You guys know the deal here for those longtime listeners of the podcast, and your support means the world to me. So one last thing before we get to actual wrestling talk. Just a couple business things out of the way. Like I mentioned before at the beginning of the show, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from. Leave a review. I want to get your guys' feedback. I want to know if you like what we're doing here, if there's anything you'd like to see change or any additions you'd like to see to the show. Do you like the production elements to it? Or would you just rather hear me talk for an hour? I've been trying to keep the show about an hour and 15 minutes. Obviously, it was kind of different back then when I was doing this particular show with Adam Daly because we were just going back and forth. And the show went by so fast sometimes. It would be like, 2 hours already. It was gone and we were just having a good conversation. But it's kind of different, though. It's just me here. I don't have a co-host anymore. It's just me doing my own thing. And I really like it. From my point of view, if I was a wrestling fan, I think I would be enjoying this podcast with the different type of production elements. It's something different. And I appreciate good podcasts out there that actually try to make themselves stand out from other people. For example, I love Keeping It 100 with Conan. It's one of my favorite podcasts. I listen to it every Thursday. It really picks up my spirits whenever I'm feeling down. I go listen to it just to hear them make me chuckle and stuff, and how they rip Disco Inferno and the Juice and all the shenanigans that go out in Keeping It 100. If you're not listening to that podcast, man, I feel sorry for you. Boom. Also, I want to give a shout out to Bruce Pritchard and Conrad Thompson for Something to Wrestle With, which you can listen to on the MLW Network, MLW Radio Network. You can subscribe to the podcast Something to Wrestle With Bruce Pritchard every Fridays. They get to pick and choose the topics. No, the fans get to pick the topics they discuss. They stick it to one topic a week, which is really cool. Love the back and forth between Conrad and Bruce, even though Conrad sometimes comes off as a Meltzer sheep, and it can get annoying after a while, but it's all good. I like Conrad. I like Conrad. He's a very, very nice guy. I was fortunate enough to have an interview with him when he was first getting started with the podcasting stuff with Ric Flair about a year ago on my old Pro Wrestling Experience show. So I'm happy for Conrad. He's killing it. He's kicking ass. I'm very happy for him. Man, it wouldn't be a wrestling fan's dream to host a wrestling podcast with somebody who's really attached to the hip of some of the biggest names in the history of the business, and we're responsible for creative decisions that happen during good, bad, or indifferent times in the entire landscape of professional wrestling. So I love something to wrestle with and keeping it 100. Those are the two podcasts I enjoyed the most besides the Ross Report, of course, because you guys know I am a Jim Ross mark. Who is it? Jim Ross is the reason why I got into professional wrestling, and I want to spread some love, man. Some people could misconstrue me as being, I'm anti-everything wrestling media and this and that. No, that's not true. I have friends that I respect and I enjoy their work, and I just don't like people that just go out of their way to, whether indirectly or in a literal sense, try to bring you down because you're not in their clique type of thing. I think you can figure that out for yourself. I just don't see the purpose of bringing people down. I don't. Everybody should be supporting their work. Coming up in March will be my 4th year being part of the wrestling media game. I'm killing it with WrestleZone. It's a lot of fun. Your guys' support for my play-by-play pieces mean a lot to me. Give a shout out to Nick Hausman and Kevin Kellum last night on Raw Rebellion. They're actually narrating my piece. So if they're saying they're narrating, I guess I wrote it in a certain way that came off like a story. So that's kind of the goal here with my play-by-play pieces. But nonetheless, let's move on. I want to start off this week talking about SmackDown. And tonight's SmackDown is going to be very interesting. We got 3 big matches to discuss, but first, I want to go back to last week since we didn't get to talk about it. Now record the shows now on Tuesday morning and afternoon. I want to show you guys the clip of the promo segment between Nikki Bella and Natalya because I thought it was really good. I want to give both ladies a shout out here. Here we go. Here's some comments between Nikki Bella and Natalya.
You know, Natty, I know you despise me, and I really, really wish I could feel the same way about you, but I just can't. I can't.
That's so noble of you. Great. Noble Nikki.
Natty, I don't despise you. I feel bad for you. I mean, you think this is all about my looks and some spin-off and the man that I'm with? No, it's not. The fact is, my sister and I, we have worked hard our entire lives to make the Bella name mean something. And you, I mean, you're just living off of your family's legacy.
I have gotten nothing from my family.
Nothing, Natty, nothing. So when we hear your entrance music, we think of you, right? Not the Hart Foundation and everything they've done. Or when you apply the sharpshooter, we're cheering you, not the man that made it famous, your amazing, iconic uncle, Bret Hart. You know, 2 weeks ago, you said I was nothing. But all you've ever shown is you are the nothing of the Hart family.
That is exactly the response that I was expecting from you. You want to make this all about my family? And you've probably been planning this whole thing for weeks. I mean, we all saw the tweet, Nikki. Watching SmackDown Live, I admire Nikki's work ethic and determination. Yeah, right. She's always been one of my favorites. I don't even want to know the things that you did to get my Uncle Bret Hart to send out a tweet like that.
Here we go again.
Yeah. But as far as Bret is concerned, as far as he's concerned, I'm better than Bret ever was. And no one works harder than me. None of you in here. No one is more determined than me. And everything you have, you've gotten because of how you look. You use your sex appeal to get what you want. And when your beauty fades, John is going to leave you. And when he does, you are going to die alone.
Oh, Nikki Bella's hurt enough. What a shot.
Well, she deserved that one.
What a right hand. Good grief.
As always, these clips are always obviously owned by the WWE, and these clips are used to further emphasize our talking points in this podcast. I don't own this property. I love doing the production elements. I think a big part of doing a podcast about wrestling is talking about promos, right? And talking about storylines and character development. You know, it's easy for me or any person in the world to come on here and come up with blanket statements when it's regard to a certain storyline or how certain talent's being pushed or etc. But for me, I'm a person that deals with facts. I'm not a yeah but type of guy. I don't deal with ifs. I'm an absolute guy, and I love this. I love what's been going on with Nikki and Natty. I really have. It's been really cool. One of the cool parts about SmackDown Live is that they do focus on other women on the show besides the title match feud for that particular month's pay-per-view. And Nikki and Natty, I only think we're just reaching the surface of what these two could do together. It's been a feud that's been coming for a long time, and I thought last week they killed it. You know, it came out of nowhere last week. I was covering the show live, and they just did the American Alpha against Breezango match. And then out of nowhere, it's just, oh, hey, Nikki and Natty are in the ring. But I think it's kind of cool to do something a little different like that. There's a saying that JR says a lot on his show. You got to maximize your TV time. I think for a production element, if you're setting up a television wrestling style show, right? I say maybe every 1 or 2 matches, yeah, you can have your entrances for the live house and stuff, but if you're having a talking segment, I want to not have long, drawn-out entrances on their way to the ring, because it takes away time for what could be done in that particular segment. And I felt, yeah, Nikki and Natty were in the ring. They obviously did their entrances during the commercial break, and I have no problem with that. Let's get to the business. Let's get it done. If a particular segment's not getting enough time, let's not cut more time out of it by having the drawn-out entrance. That's the live event experience. That's where you have the entrances. We already know what everybody's entrance looks like in WWE shows, where it's 205 Live, SmackDown Live, Raw, NXT. We already know what these entrances look like. I think as somebody in the broadcasting and television business and knows how those formats work, I'll give credit where credit's due for SmackDown. Whoever made that decision to just have Natty in the ring coming out of the commercial break, I thought that was smart, because we already know what their entrances are. We don't need to stretch it out. Let's get to the business and see what they have to say. And so tonight we have Nikki Bella versus Natalya. We got American Alpha putting their tag team titles on the line against the Wyatt family. And we got Baron Corbin versus John Cena. It's going to be very, very interesting tonight how things go down. Also, we get to see the reaction of Miz after losing the Intercontinental Championship last week to Dean Ambrose. I did not see that coming. I think Miz and Ambrose have good chemistry in the ring. It's not the first time these two fought each other. I could look back to like maybe 5 or 10 different matches these guys had on SmackDown or on pay-per-views before. But Miz and Ambrose have good chemistry. Miz and Ambrose, the feud's going to be interesting. It really is. Now they're intertwining Renee Young into this. You heard the clip at the beginning of Talking Smack. And I don't know if this program is going to be the one that goes into WrestleMania for the IC title. If it does, I'm not going to have an issue with it. At the same time, I have a suggestion for the Royal Rumble, and I want to run it by you guys because it involves SmackDown Live. So everybody's talking about who's going to win the Royal Rumble match this year, right? And what I love about the Royal Rumble this year and the fact that the brand split is back is that we don't have to deal with this element that we've been having to deal with for the past 3 years when it comes to apathetic feelings towards the road to WrestleMania based off one person winning the Royal Rumble match. Just because one person wins the Royal Rumble match doesn't mean it's literally just the only main event of the pay-per-view at WrestleMania. Going back to the days when I was younger, during the Ruthless Aggression era, whoever won the Royal Rumble back in the day when Raw and SmackDown were split, they got to choose which championship they wanted to face, right? And I think it's really cool. I love that element. I think it's different. It's definitely dated in today's era of the WWE with so many different talents. It's hard to have so many dynamic storylines in just one particular show. SmackDown's doing a good job of it. Sometimes it's hit and miss in other areas when it comes to their roster. I know everybody likes to harp on SmackDown has an ultra thin roster, but hey, the ultra thin roster continues to put on better shows month in and month out in pay-per-views and the ratings last week, but that's neither here or there. Either way, everybody's talking about who's going to win the Royal Rumble, right? Is it going to be Brock? Is it going to be Goldberg? Is it going to be Taker now? Is it going to be Braun Strowman? Is it going to be Chris Jericho? Is it going to be Seth Rollins? Hell, is it going to be the Great Kabuki? I don't know. There's so many different options, but I want to throw one out for you guys. And this is something that may work. So we already know AJ Styles is fighting John Cena for the WWE Championship at the Royal Rumble, right? I think, in my opinion, that John Cena is going to defeat AJ Styles and capture his 16th championship at the Royal Rumble. I really do. I think Cena will win and walk into WrestleMania as the champion. And I'm not gonna go on the Cena is burying AJ right before WrestleMania time, because I already know that's what's gonna be said. as predictable, we could say that the WWE creative team or booking team is. A lot of fans' complaints are really predictable and really outdated, to be honest with you. At the same time, though, this is the same crowd that says they pay attention so much to booking. Yet the only booking they're paying attention to is what somebody else says on social media while the show's going live. They're not really paying attention to the show live like I am. There's more to BCI than what you read on Lambstorm's Twitter timeline. There's more to BCI than whatever you hear Disco Inferno say on a podcast, etc., etc., etc. I'm not a person here to give you reality checks. I have an authentic opinion. I'm genuine. I do what I got to do. You can agree or disagree with me. That's perfectly fine. My thing is, I know that wrestling's subjective, yet why is it the majority of wrestling fans don't see it the other way? It's not the your way and the highway when it comes to this stuff. There's never been a right or wrong answer. Was Andre the Giant buried because he lost to Hulk Hogan? Was it so predictable booking with Hogan in the 80s? It's subjective to whatever you like, right? We always hear the saying, to each his own. And look, I'll admit, there was a period where I didn't like John Cena like everybody else, but at the same time, I didn't hate the guy like everybody else. I didn't have the visceral hate. I never came out of my shows and said, John Cena's the cancer of professional wrestling. I never said that. It's just an idiotic statement. Why would I say that? It's just dumb. So, we're talking about the Royal Rumble. We got John Cena versus AJ Styles now, and real talk, I really feel John Cena's going to win the match at the Royal Rumble. And to everybody that says John Cena versus The Undertaker at WrestleMania this year, trust me, I would love to see that match in person. There's nobody in the world that wants to see that match more than I do. Undertaker's my childhood favorite. I like John Cena. My thing is just, I feel like with the announcement of WrestleMania going back to New Orleans, I think it'd be better to have that match there and then have Undertaker have his send-off. Undertaker is actually at the WrestleMania 34 press conference today. So if that means anything, I really feel that the Undertaker will have his last hurrah at the Superdome next year, which makes sense. It's the same crowd. No, it's the same building where the streak came to an end, and he could go to the Hall of Fame that weekend and do what he's got to do, man. The man's got to do what he's got to do. Undertaker will always be my childhood favorite, so there's certain bias to that, but I think John Cena will win. I repeat, win the WWE Championship for the 16th time at the Royal Rumble. And here's my suggestion for the Royal Rumble. I think Miz wins the Royal Rumble. Now, hear me out here, because I know everybody's be like, "Oh, we already had that at WrestleMania 27. It was a flop. It was only about Cena and Rock." I think the cards are different here. I really do. I think the parameters when it comes to these two guys are totally different when it comes to their careers. I think Miz and John Cena can kill it as one of the marquee matches at WrestleMania. And I think people could buy it in today's era. Because tell me right now, besides Chris Jericho and Broken Matt Hardy, tell me one wrestler who's not having a better run right now in the business than Miz. Tell me one. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Miz has killed it, man. I know we didn't have the Slammies last year, but if there was a superstar of the year besides AJ Styles, I would give it to the Miz. Miz versus John Cena would work, and I had the idea that possibly Styles, out of frustration, out of losing the title, obviously earlier tonight, he would be the one to cost Undertaker the Rumble match. You heard him on Raw this past week. He's like, "If anybody stands in my way, they will rest in peace." So many different things. Like, the cool part about this is that we're all getting fun, or having fun and doing our fantasy booking about the Royal Rumble, and everybody's excited for the event. I am too. The fun part about this, and something I've realized, is that I don't care who wins the Royal Rumble this year. There's so many different good choices this year. Like, literally, honestly, I would not have a problem with whoever wins the Rumble this year. I really don't. Because there's so many different options you could go with when it comes to this WrestleMania, which is really cool. And it's also the cool part when most of your roster is healthy this year, so I think that's even interesting. Hell, you could put Bray Wyatt and Randy Orton in the Royal Rumble match. Hell, this Rumble match is not even filled yet with the number of awesome stars that are going to be in it. It's crazy, man. Baron Corbin's in there, New Day, Goldberg, Lesnar, Taker, Rollins, Jericho. The list goes on and on and on, but I can't tell you how much excitement I have inside me when it comes to covering this event on January 29th. So tonight we got Baron Corbin versus John Cena. That's probably going to be the main event of the show. I'm looking forward to that. We also got Nikki and Natalya and her grudge feud. I expect that to probably be a DQs type of situation. I hope those two get some time. They probably will. SmackDown's good about that when it comes to them getting them multiple segment matches, which is fine. And of course, we got American Alpha versus the Wyatt family. If it's me, I'd probably have American Alpha, the Wyatt, start off the show. If not, it'd probably be Miz and Ambrose again. Oh, I heard John Cena's co-hosting the Today Show today too, so that's interesting. Who knows if he'll be on the show tonight? But overall, that's my thoughts on SmackDown Live. SmackDown Live keeps killing it. Everybody knows what's going on with the blue brand, and everybody's having fun with it. I want to transition a little bit to 205 Live real quick. Just a couple of thoughts, because I would like to give some love to the Cruiserweights. Like I mentioned on last week's show, I feel like the Cruiserweights don't get the respect that they deserve. I think they're doing something different out of the box, showing that most Cruiserweights are not spot monkeys and they can do technical wrestling. And people could say, oh, the WWE is restricting the Cruiserweights and doing what they want to do, so that's why the matches are not as fast-paced as the CWC. No, the difference is that we want these guys to be on television each week and not blow out their freaking ACL at a pay-per-view. I think there's a difference, and at the same time, I feel like the Cruiserweights get better with their matches each week. They make more sense. obviously the arena environment may not be the best for a cruiserweight type of style match, especially when you see guys like Seth Rollins or AJ Styles earlier in the night doing what they do. There's a lot of similarities to every single wrestler now in every division. Hell, Luke Harper is considered a big guy, yet he does hurricanranas and suicide dives. So it's hard. So I can see both sides of the fence. My thing is, I think the cruiserweights are putting on more logical matches, and I love the stuff that's going on with Brian Kendrick as a heel. Speaking of heels, Neville has been doing a great job. The stuff with Jack Gallagher and Arya Daivari has been very fun and entertaining. And 205 Live is going to be interesting. Tonight we got Rich Swann versus Tony Nese. Rich Swann's making his return off of that little injury. I actually got to see Neville versus Rich Swann in person in Chicago a couple weeks ago when they had 205 Live here in SmackDown Live, so that was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, we got Arya Daivari against Gallagher tonight after their gentlemen's due. I think this may be the last match between both of these guys, and we'll see what happens. So I want to get some shout-outs to 205 Live guys. And also, Noam Dar versus Cedric Alexander. That's going to be going down as well. All right. Really quick, just a couple other talking points I want to get into before we get to Monday Night Raw and more Royal Rumble booking scenarios. By the way, if you'd like to advertise with the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, you can send a email to joshlopezwwe94 at gmail.com with the subject line, advertise. Tell me your name, where you're from, what you represent, what's your brand, and I'd love to do some business with you. So if you like what you're hearing, if you like what I bring to the table with this podcast every single week, send an email to joshlopezwwe94 at gmail.com, and we'll get that done. Love to do some advertising and expand the brand that is the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, and we're having a lot of fun. At least for me, I'm having a lot of fun doing this podcast and showing it out for you guys and having some fun. Couple things really quick. So tomorrow we have the mid-season finale for Lucha Underground. That's going to be tomorrow night at 7 o'clock. It's going to be a 1-hour show, obviously. We have El Dragon Azteca Jr. taking on the monster Matanza Cuello. And Johnny Mundo will put his Lucha Underground Championship on the line against the Mac. And they said Johnny Mundo versus Max is going to be an all-night-long match, so I really don't know if something changed. But the title, the name of the show is called Gods Among Men. So that's going to be a very interesting show. I love Lucha Underground. Season 3 has been off the charts, so the mid-season finale for Season 3 will concur tomorrow night. Talk a little bit about Impact. I know they're taping down there in Orlando, and they're all owned by Anthem Media and all this other jazz. I want to say I think it's pretty cool that Jeff Jarrett and Dutch Mantel are back. I really do hope that TNA finally takes that step in the wrong not in the wrong direction, my bad. That was last year. I really do hope the company takes a step in the right direction. We all heard the news last week about Dixie Carter stepping down from her position in power in the company. It was long overdue, and I hope some more subtle changes happen with the company because not everything in TNA is perfect. I love their talent roster. Besides Josh Matthews and the Pofu may be the worst commentary team of all time. But nonetheless, I'm having a good time watching everything around the world of professional wrestling. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. Let's see what's going on with I was going to say my thoughts for WrestleKingdom towards the end of the show, but right here I want to play a little clip here because coming up this weekend I'm covering the inaugural WWE UK Championship Tournament on the WWE Network, and I wanted to play a little clip here that came from the preview show, which you guys should check out on the network. It's really good. So I want to give you a little sneak preview of the particular talents that are going to be featured in this tournament. His name's Jordan Devlin, and he's a protege of Finn Balor.
My name is Jordan Devlin. I'm 5'10", and I'm 81 kilos. I was trained by Finn Balor. I met him when I was 12 years old. So a lot of my formative years in the wrestling ring was spent watching him.
Any advice for him? Yeah, don't say it.
Jordan Devlin has all the tools to succeed, and now he has the platform to succeed. So everyone's going to know who he is.
I know that I have maybe a bit of expectation on my shoulders as well, with Sheamus and Becky and now Finn flying the Irish flag so highly. I believe fully in my heart that I was trained by the best, and my experience would be my advantage in this tournament.
And the door is wide open, more so than it has ever been. Before, WWE used to be this unattainable unicorn flying off the top of a mountain. And now it's literally sitting right here.
The WWE UK Championship Tournament occurs live this Saturday and Sunday, January 14th and 15th on the WWE Network. It'll be called by Michael Cole and Nigel McGuinness. I'm looking forward to that. I got to interview Nigel about a few years ago at the Pro Wrestling Experience as well. They got the brackets out. Make sure to follow all things WWE UK Championship Tournament at WWUKCT on Twitter. They revealed the brackets so you guys can find it right there. I want to list off some of the matches you're going to see in the first round. We have Tyler Bate versus Tucker, Jordan Devlin that you just heard right there versus Danny Burch, Trent Seven versus H.D. Dyer, Wolfgang versus Tyson T-Bone, Mark Andrews that you guys seen in TNA taking on Dan Maloney, James Drake takes on Joseph Connors, Pete Dunne takes on Roy Johnson, and Saxon Huxley takes on Sam Gradwell. So a lot of young talent from the UK scene, which I think is really cool. A lot about youth and athleticism, a lot of different styles of wrestling, which is always cool. And it's cool that the WWE is embracing the UK landscape because there's a lot of great UK fans out there. And the British scene in professional wrestling has been off the charts, especially last year with the stuff for Rev Pro and Progress Wrestling. And just so many cool stuff going on in the world of wrestling. So, coming up on this weekend will not be any different. So, as we move on here, we'll get into Monday Night Raw in just a couple of seconds, but I changed my mind. I said I was really good talk about WrestleKingdom at the end of the show, but I changed my mind. Hey, man, I'm the producer, host, and et cetera, when it comes to this show, so I have creative control to talk about what I want to talk about. Oh, man. All right, here we go. So, I didn't get a chance to watch WrestleKingdom live. I was kind of burnt out because I had to cover both SmackDown 205 Live that night, and I just needed to go to bed. I had some stuff to do the next morning. I seen a big thread throughout the week about, oh my God, Okada versus Omega is the greatest match of all time. And I've heard this thread for the past couple of years. This is not the first time it's happened. And at the same time, I'm not saying it's a good or bad thing, too, because remember, at the beginning of the show, we talked about it. Wrestling's subjective, to each his own. If you think that was the greatest match you ever saw, cool beans. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I will say, though, that it's cool. It's fine to have a different point of view sometimes, that you don't have to say the same thing that everybody else does. I just never been that type of guy, and that's just my point of view. So I wrote this little post on Facebook last Friday because that's when I got to watch the show finally, and you can agree or disagree, but this is my thoughts in the Okada Omega match. So let's get to the post that I wrote here. Okay, I finally got to watch the Omega Okada match. Now I want to preface this by saying that professional wrestling is subjective, and that's the best part of it. It's been a very busy week for me, and I didn't have the opportunity to watch WrestleKingdom 11 live on Tuesday. And not surprisingly, after every WrestleKingdom event, there's already the automatic lock for match of the year. I even seen the thread throughout the week so far that this was the greatest match of all time. I'm not going to begrudge anybody if they feel that way. Not surprisingly, I love this match just as much as anybody. It was truly wrestling art personified. In today's wrestling, it's kind of hard finding the greatest match ever because, especially in indie promotions across the globe, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Ring of Honor, Lucha, and etc., a lot of these matches are very similar. What makes a match truly special, at least for me, is the atmosphere in the crowd during the match. With everything that was on the show already, from Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly, from Takahashi versus Kishida, from Goto versus Shibata, and from Tanahashi versus Naito, and etc., the atmosphere for this match was truly special. Especially the last 10 minutes of the Okada versus Omega match. Personally, I didn't think the Bucks of Youth were needed in this match, but that's my opinion. This will definitely be in my top 5 WrestleKingdom matches. However, I'll take Nakamura and Kota Ibushi for WrestleKingdom 9 slightly over this match. Okada is truly special. I've been on and off with Omega, but the guy's a phenomenal performer as well. So I was jealous of Steve Corino and Kevin Kelly for documenting that match from ringside. Sorry, everybody, but I'm not hopping on the train for that. This was the greatest match ever, but if you feel that way, that's your prerogative. Support New Japan Pro Wrestling. The company is clicking on all cylinders. So, all encompass everything. My thoughts on what's going on with New Japan coming off of WrestleKingdom 11, right there. Take it or leave it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get to Monday Night Raw, because I got something to say, and we're about to wrap up the show in just about a couple minutes. So, Undertaker came back this past week, and he made some major news.
This crowd's reaction is a result of your inability to produce The Undertaker. It's all because of you, Mick. I mean, how does that make them feel? How does that make me feel? The empty buzz that fills this arena because The Undertaker is not here. You asked me to trust you, and I did. I trusted you, Mick. So what do you have to say for yourself? What should I do? What should I say?
I just want you to know how sorry I am. I'm back. And I think it important that the world should know I will be entering the Royal Rumble. I answer to no one. I go where I want, when I want. Nobody controls The Undertaker. No one. Now I have returned to the city where I have suffered my most devastating loss and where the streak came to its demise. But my journey continues to the Royal Rumble. I've dug 29 holes for 29 souls. And I will be bringing the dark side to the Royal Rumble match. And after I win, I will return to the main event at WrestleMania. And if anyone, and I mean anyone, stands in my way, they will. Rest in peace.
A blockbuster announcement tonight by the Dead Man.
If I told you that I wasn't marking out last night during Monday Night Raw, I'd be lying to you, because I was. May not have been screaming, yelling, marking out, but in the inside I was. Last night I got to cover Raw for the first time since Hell in a Cell. Now, just to bring some people in behind the fourth wall when it comes to my work at the Zone of Wrestle, I don't cover Raw each week. I used to do it every week on Between the Ropes, and I never had a problem doing it during the 3-hour live format. I remember the first Monday Night Raw that I ever covered live was the night after CM Punk left the WWE. It was literally the night after the Royal Rumble pay-per-view that year. And since then, there's been on and off times where I've covered Raw whenever Lovell Porter, my good brother, which you give a follow at Above Average LP, he's going through some hard times, but I want to give a shout out. Follow him on Twitter. He does great work. But Lovell usually does the Raw articles, and it's fine. One of the fun parts about doing play-by-play pieces, or at least the ones that I do, is the fact that I don't have to be boggled down by Nimrodic tweets that I see on social media during live wrestling shows. And I've noticed that's just becoming the norm, and it just is what it is now. So I shouldn't lose sleep over it. But it's kind of weird where we have this big thread of same repetitive tweets, and that's supposedly the voice of the fans of how everybody feels about a particular angle or how this person's being booked. I've never been part of that community. I think you guys know which community I'm talking about. I don't get it. I think it's full of bullshit and just a bunch of fans that are ungrateful for what they have, and that's how I feel. And when I cover the shows live, it's cool that I can just focus on the show and block all the outside noise out of my head. And just focus on what I gotta do. I got a show I gotta cover. I gotta do that. Yeah, sometimes I'll make a couple tweets, but that's the cool thing about having DVR now, where you could pause your screen and start doing what you got to do, man. If I have something to tweet out, I'll tweet it out. I tweeted out a couple days last night while the show was going on live. I don't do it a lot because usually I have a lot to get to and I got to cover the show. But if there's something that I really feel like I need to get off my chest, I'll say it on there. And I thought the show was okay last night. I didn't think it was great or horrible. Like I mentioned on my Twitter timeline, I really thought the Luke Gallows and Sheamus match was kind of underrated, even though the crowd didn't make that much noise. I thought Luke Gallows and Sheamus had a very, very good match, at least from my point of view. I thought Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman killed it as well. By the way, I want to apologize in advance for the birds. That's out of my control. Just like wrestling booking is out of my control and your control too. I really enjoyed the stuff Stephanie did last night. I know some people may be tired of Stephanie, but for me, I think she did a very, very good job, and so did Mick Foley too. So I want to give props to him too. Man, Stephanie looked freaking hot last night, man. Triple H, man. I know a lot of people say they're the luckiest man on the face of the earth, but that man is the luckiest man in the face of earth, man. Stephanie McMahon her body is a national treasure in itself. But I thought Stephanie did a great job in her role. She always does it. She kills it. She's just like her father. It's just natural timing. She gets it. She does a phenomenal job. And I thought it was a good thread. With the main thing where they're focusing on the show is, hey, we're going to give Mick a performance review. And they wanted to see if the rumor was true, if Undertaker was going to show up to Raw. So they're following up this thread about Raw trying to regain some momentum for their programming because SmackDown beat them a couple weeks ago in the ratings, and Raw wants to get some momentum back. And Undertaker's like, I'm not exclusive property to anybody. I do what I want to do when I want to do it, and I'm not owned by anybody. And he said, especially right in front of Stephanie's face, nobody. And Undertaker announced that he's going to be in the Royal Rumble match, and everybody knows me. I'm an Undertaker mark. Besides CM Punk, Undertaker is my favorite wrestler of all time. He always will be. I think the Undertaker entrance, at least the Dark Side Undertaker entrance, is the greatest wrestling entrance of all time. The outfit, the way he wrestles, the matches from the past. I'm an Undertaker mark, man. What do you want me to do, man? People say, the guy should go home and retire already. Man, all right. If The Rock was out here and it's like, hey, man, I'm going to have another title match. You can smell what I'm cooking and all this other crap. Am I going to say, no, The Rock should just stick to his stupid movies? No, I'm not going to do that. If Rock was your favorite wrestler and you wanted to see them perform, that'd be cool. I would support that. Just like I would expect people to support other people's... That just goes back to the thing. People just always want to bring people down because it's not the way that particular person wants it. It's not everything. It's just crazy how many selfish people are really in this world these days. But hey, man, those selfish people got what they wanted, man. We got a bad celebrity as our president right now, so that's very telling. Nonetheless, I think the Rumble, like I mentioned before earlier in the show, is so stacked. It's very, very interesting where things are going to go heading into WrestleMania season. Roman Reigns lost the U.S. title last night. Congrats to Chris Jericho. Very good handicap match between him and Jericho against Roman Reigns. Very good match. Roman doesn't need a title, so it's cool. I do think Roman's going to win the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble as well, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't. I think Owens versus Jericho, either way, whether it was for the U.S. title or the Universal title, I think that's really cool because I think everybody wanted to see that feud, and I think when Jericho or Owens, whoever decides to turn on each other, I think that's going to be a very special moment, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch heading into WrestleMania 33. So I'm very looking forward to that particular angle when it starts going. Excited to see when Triple H comes back. What's going to happen with Roman Reigns heading into WrestleMania season. I know a lot of people are saying Roman Reigns versus Braun Strowman, but I want to toss out an idea for you guys. Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor. I want to toss that idea out there. Just saying. Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor. If Finn Balor finds a way to come back and win the Royal Rumble, I think it'll be Roman Reigns versus Finn Balor at WrestleMania. I just want to toss that idea out there. All right? I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on that. All right. I want to say thank you guys so much for checking out the show. As always, you guys can support the podcast on iTunes. Download it, subscribe, rate, review. Do what you got to do. I love the honest review positive or negative. Your feedback means a lot, and I do take it into consideration. So your feedback drives what happens on this podcast. I hope you guys like the production elements. I think it adds a lot to the podcast, and you guys don't have to hear me ramble for an hour. So I love what I'm doing, man. You guys are the real MVPs. Keep kicking ass. I love doing this podcast for you guys. Hope you guys have a great week. I'm going to close out the show this week a little something different. I want to give a shout out to a local promotion here, AAW. I think some of you guys, hardcore wrestling fans, know what AAW is. But Drew Galloway was at the recent AAW show at 115 Bourbon Street, and Drew Galloway had some comments about his drive and his motivation heading into 2017 and just his journey since he's left the WWE. I think it's very important, and got to give props for him because he's been doing phenomenal work since he's left the company. So I want to give a shout out to Drew Galloway. Again, make sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes and Stitcher. You can also check out all previous editions of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast on my YouTube channel, youtube.com. Search in the search box, JWL Podcast. That's just the acronym for JWL Podcast, Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. I think you guys find it. So, do that. If you want to advertise with Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, send an email to joshlopezwwe94@gmail.com with the subject line advertise. And you can follow me on Twitter at NotoriousMatt. Check out my play-by-play articles for WrestleZone.com, and also check me out on the Pipe Bomb with McCool and Company on the New Age Insiders Network every Fridays. Shout outs to brother Mitchell McMule. Shout out to brother Carter. Shout out to Liz. Shout out to the good brother Ronnie Stark. Shout out to Brandon DeJesus, who's always been a good supporter to the show, a fellow Chicagoan. Shout out to KG, Kevin Gray, one of my mentors. Speaking of mentors, shout out to Jonathan Hood, because he's the man. Without him, I'm not here. Shout out to shout out to everybody. Steve Muehlhausen, who's a great mentor of mine, getting my start when it comes to writing in the wrestling media. So I want to give shout out to him. Shout out to the WrestleZone crew for allowing me to do the articles. And shout out to you guys for supporting my work. It means a lot. So love you guys. Have a good weekend. And I'm out. Peace. Talk to you all next week.
Drew Galloway, huge win over Jeff Cobb here. Welcome back to Chicago, and welcome back to AAW.
What a beer one, It's okay. I forgive you all. It's okay. I'm used to it now. You don't know any better. But I'm going to tell you a story, and I want you to open your ears. And by the end of the story, I'll change your opinion because I am always right. September 15th, I was wrestling in the UK in a match. I was dropped on the back of my neck. My ear pressed to my chest, and I heard my own back break. That was about 2.5 months ago, and that's a shoot story. You claim to be smart fans. I'm sure you read it online. The fact that I wrestled tonight, the fact that I wrestled an athlete like Jeff Cobb in that kind of match, at that pace in my second singles match with a broken back, is a goddamn miracle. I encourage crowds to speak their mind. I go out and do what I do best. I did it in the UK when I left WWE. I was going to prove to the world you don't need the machine behind you. You can make it on your own. I have become more than a man. I am a verb to do a Drew. That's what they say now. Sandal's doing it. Cody's doing it. I started that and I'm damn proud of it. 1,500 people. My first main event, 2,000. The second year, the second main event, 4,000. This year, I was cleared 3 days before the biggest independent show of all time, 6,200 people, and I was in the ring with Finn Balor breaking records. Everywhere I go, Rose. Vince was right, I am the chosen one, but I'm not his chosen one, I'm wrestling's chosen one. Continue to speak your mind, grow the crowd. I don't mind, I'm just going to come out and do what I enjoy. And the fact that I'm able to go at this level after that injury, I am proud and I'm going to keep growing companies. I'm not going to work for any shit anymore. I have chosen to come back to AEW because it's on my list. Tommy Jericho's list is pretty sweet, but Drew's list is very short. And the companies on it are fucking awesome, and this is one of them. Don't cheer when you come back. Continue to cheer for your favorites. Just know what my mission statement is. And as a great man once said, I'll be back.